So in today's class we will study about physiology of hearing, right? So all of you know that sound is a form of energy that propagates into wave. The speed of sound depends upon the medium. The air में अलग होता है, water में अलग होता है, right? And solid में अलग होता है, ठीक है? Air में कितना होता है 343 मीटर पर सेकेंड और water में 1482 मीटर per second, ठीक है? And what is the audible frequency of sound wave? It is 20 to 20 kilohertz, right? Human के लिए. So human ear is sensitive to various range of amplitude, and it can detect the difference between the two sounds that occurring 10 microsecond apart. मतलब दो sound जो कि 10 microsecond can discriminate between them, right? Now physical properties of sound. The sound travel in alternate phases of condensation and rarefaction in elastic medium like air, water, metal, and its intensity is measured in decibel. And जो normal conversation है उसकी intensity is around 65 decibel, and above 100 decibel there can be damage to the ear. So human acoustic system जो होता है, it acts as a filter. It acts as a filter sensitive to pure tone frequencies from 20 to 15 kilohertz, and threshold for hearing is 20 decibel. ठीक है, इससे कम में नहीं सुनाई देगा. So it is 20 decibel, right? So this is the external ear. This is the ear. So this is external ear. ये पूरा external ear है, ये middle ear है, and this is internal ear, right? So external ear में क्या क्या हो गया? पिन्ना हो गया, concha हो गया, और external auditory meatus हो गया. It has two main influences on incoming sound mainly. So whenever there is increase in pressure on the tympanic membrane, ठीक है? तो जब भी pressure होगा तो there is sound, ठीक है? And one is sound localization. Pinna acts also as a sound localization, that from where the sound is coming. So that is the role of pinna. So pinna concha system, it catches sound over large area and concentrated into smaller area to external auditory meatus. ठीक है, अलग अलग से sound wave आ रही है, उसको ये catch करता है और and इसको then concentrate करता है into smaller area में, and this increases the total energy available to the tympanic membrane. So you can see in this diagram the sound wave is coming larger area, so then it is going to the smaller area and it will go to the tympanic membrane. This is tympanic membrane. This is the diagram. Sound wave is coming. This is auditory canal. This is tympanic membrane. The sound wave is going here, right? So cues for sound localization from right to left is sound wave reaches the ear closer to the sound source before it arises from the farthest ear. ठीक है? Suppose I am listening from this side, so the sound wave coming from this side will reach this ear first, then it will go this ear. So with the help of that sound is less intense in this ear and more intense in this ear, right? So with the help of that, the sound localization of sound can be done, that the sound is coming from the right side or from the left side, right? And auditory cortex, it integrates these cues to determine the location, right? Now from pinna to the tympanic membrane, external 1/3 is, if we will see, तो इसका जो external 1/3 is cartilaginous and inner 2/3 is bony, and it is lined by skin, all of you know. And out of 1/3 में there is sebaceous gland that secrete oil and pheromonous gland that secrete wax. So they prevent us from the foreign, जो भी foreign material, foreign जो particles होते हैं उससे ये prevent करता है, जो भी wax है या जो भी oil है वो, right? So this is the natural resonant frequencies. For external auditory canal it is 3000 Hz, for tympanic membrane it is 800 to 1600, from middle ear it is 800, and for ossicular chain is 500 to 2000 Hz. So middle ear, if we will see the walls of middle ear, it is like a cube. All of you know that, anatomy में सबने देखा, it is like a cube. So if it is six-sided, it is a cube, it is six-sided. ऊपर superior surface, inferior, ठीक है, lateral, medial and posterior and anterior, ये surfaces होंगी उसकी. So lateral wall is lined by tympanic membrane, all of you know about that. And so it is the जो tympanic membrane है उसका point of maximum concavity is umbo, that also all of you know. Anterior wall में there are two canals. One is anterior में two canals होते हैं. One is for lower, one is for that is coming from your ear, mouth, eustachian tube, and the second one lodges for tensor tympani muscle, right? Now eustachian tube or pharyngotympanic tube, what is the function of that tube? It connects the middle ear to the pharynx. So air passes through middle ear through the pharynx. It passes, जो भी middle ear में air होती है, it passes through pharynx. So function, it causes equalization of pressure on two sides of tympanic membrane. क्योंकि बाहर is atmospheric pressure, अंदर is middle ear का जो pressure है, तो उसको ये equalize करता है, ठीक है, with the help of eustachian tube. So in common cold tube block हो जाता है, all of you know that. जुकाम होता है तो tube block हो जाता है because there is swelling, eustachian tube में swelling हो जाता है, and there is inflammation, swelling, and there is blockage of the tube, right? So tympanic membrane retracts inward. There is inward because there is no sound. जो भी pressure है, it will not be regulated. So there will be retraction of the tympanic membrane. पीछे बातें मत करना. There is retraction of the tympanic membrane inward, and vibration of tympanic membrane decreased, right? जब retracted हो जाएगी तो it will not vibrate. तो इससे क्या हो जाएगा? ठीक से सुनाई नहीं देगा आपको, and there will be discomfort, right? होता है ना जुकाम में, कान बंद हो जाता है. Now posterior wall क्या करती है? It communicate with the mastoid, right? And medial wall is जहाँ पे कि internal ear से होता है, तो it is labyrinthine wall, and it has two windows. All of you know it has two windows. Medial wall, one is the oval window, and second one is the round window. So what is the function of oval window? It leads to the vestibule of internal ear, right? It leads to the vestibule of internal ear, and it transmits the sound vibrations of ossicles to perilymph of sella vestibuli, right? Now round window is fenestra cochlea. So it is also called as what? Secondary tympanic membrane, and it is present in the lower part, and it accommodates the pressure waves transmitted to the perilymph of sella tympani. But that I will tell you later with the help of diagram, how the sound wave travel and how the pressure is equalized, right? Now roof is there and floor is there. So now ear, middle ear में there is also ear ossicles. Ear ossicles कौन सी होती है? malleus, incus and stapes. So which is the smallest bone in stapes? So stapes is the smallest bone, and there are two muscles in the middle ear. One is tensor tympani, and second one is stapedius. So what is the function of tensor tympani? Tensor tympani, they attenuate the loud sound. How attenuate the loud sound? If suppose बहुत तेज sound आ रही है, तो there will be ज़्यादा vibration, there will be damage to the ear. तो उसको प्रिवेंट करने के लिए ये क्या करता है? ये टेंस रखता है टिम्पैनिक मेम्ब्रेन को. सो इट अटेन्युएट एंड द ऑसिकल्स को. सो इट अटेन्युएट द लाउड साउंड. उतना लाउड साउंड आपके अंदर कान में नहीं जाएगा. ना इंटरनल ईयर कहाँ पे सिचुएटेड होता है? इट इज सिचुएटेड इन द पीटरस पार्ट ऑफ टेम्पोरल बोन. ऑल ऑफ यू नो दैट टेम्पोरल बोन के अंदर होता है. देयर आर टू पार्ट्स होते हैं मेनली, बोनी लैब्रिंथ एंड मेम्ब्रेनस लैब्रिंथ. बाहर का इज बोनी लैब्रिंथ, अंदर का इज membranous labyrinth. So bony labyrinth में क्या होता है? There is vestibule, semicircular canal and cochlea. ठीक है, vestibule, semicircular canal and cochlea. And what happens in membranous labyrinth? Membranous labyrinth में there are vestibular receptor apparatus that is concerned with the equilibrium, then utricle and saccule and semicircular duct. Now auditory receptor apparatus, it is formed by the duct of cochlea, जिससे कि सुनाई देता है. So it contains auditory receptor apparatus. There is organ of corti. So बाहर तो bony cochlea है, अंदर is जो भी membranous cochlea है वो है. ठीक है, तो it has 2 and how many terms are there? 2 and 3/4 terms होते हैं, जिसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Modulus. And दो ऑर्गन ऑफ कॉटिंग में क्या था, देयर आर टू मेम्ब्रेन, वहाँ पे जो भी मेम्ब्रेनस लेब्रिंथ दो मेम्ब्रेन होती है, वन इज द बेसिलर एंड द सेकंड वन इज द रीजनस मेम्ब्रेन, एंड इट डिवाइड्स द bony cochlea into three parts, that is sella vestibuli, sella media and sella tympani. You can see in this diagram. So this is what, this is the ये जो है ये कॉक्लिया को सीधा कर दिया है, ठीक है. So this is what, this is oval window, this is round window. यहाँ पे this is internal middle ear, malleus, incus, stapes का ये जो है यहाँ पे disconnected to the sella vestibuli. So the sound waves are coming from here, ठीक है. बाहर इसने टिम्पैनिक मेम्ब्रेन को वाइब्रेट किया, द वाइब्रेशन विल कॉज, जो भी ऑब्स्टिकल्स है उसको ये वाइब्रेट करेगा, ठीक है. वहां से वाइब्रेशन विल गो टू द स्टेपीज से इट विल गो टू द सेला वेस्टिबुलाई, देन सेला टिम्पेनाई, एंड हियर इज राउंड विंडो. सो राउंड विंडो इट इक्वलाइजेस द प्रेशर, इट इज इक्वलाइजिंग द प्रेशर, एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो CSF क्योंकि इट इज कनेक्ट टू द CSF. So it is equalizing the pressure, and यहाँ से जो vibrations जा रहा है, this is organ of Corti, ये अंदर प्रेजेंट होता है, ठीक है. ये organ of Corti है, ठीक है, और ये अंदर प्रेजेंट होता है. अच्छा, इसमें आपको एरो नहीं दिख रहा है ना, ऐसे बताऊं मैं. ये this is malleus, incus, stapes. यहाँ से the vibration is going from here, sella vestibuli, then it is sella tympani, this is round window, ठीक है. और जो सेला वेस्टिबुलाई है वहाँ पे, एंड वहाँ पे क्या होता है, देयर इज ऑर्गन ऑफ कॉर्टी इज देयर, ठीक है. तो वहाँ पे क्या होता है, हेयर सेल्स होते हैं, जो कि हेयर सेल्स जब दे मूव करेंगे तो देयर इज जनरेशन ऑफ द एक्शन पोटेंशियल, एंड दिस एक्शन पोटेंशियल विल रीच टू द ऑडिटरी नर्व, एंड द साउंड वेव विल गो टू. तो ये बता दिया. So sella vestibuli and sella tympani is filled with perilymph, and it is connected to the CSF also. So it communicates each other at helicotrema, and sella media is a membranous cochlear duct. Now organ of Corti is a sense organ of hearing. So there are rods of Corti, hair cells, supporting cells and tectorial membrane. So hair cells, बातें नहीं, hair cells are receptor cells that transduce sound energy into the electrical energy. दिस इज ऑर्गन ऑफ कॉटी, ठीक है. ये ऊपर टेक्टोरियल मेम्ब्रेन हो गया, ठीक है. यहाँ पे दीज आर दी हेयर सेल्स आर ऑफ टू टाइप, वन इज द आउटर हेयर सेल्स एंड सेकंड वन इज द इनर हेयर सेल्स. ऊपर देख सकते हो वो आउटर हेयर सेल्स है, ठीक है. ऊपर इज टेक्टोरियल मेम्ब्रेन, राइट, एंड दिस इज व्हाट, दीज आर टू पिलर्स, ठीक है. दीज आर टू पिलर्स, वहाँ पे दीज आर हेंसन सेल्स. नीचे जो है येलो कलर की इज द बेसिलर मेम्ब्रेन, इट इज द बेसिलर मेम्ब्रेन. सो दिस इज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ ऑर्गन ऑफ Corti. So now next is what, central auditory pathway. So what is happening, the impulse is going here, यहाँ पे it is stimulating the nerve and auditory nerve from here. This is, ये नीचे आप देखोगे, this is auditory nerve, ठीक है. It is going above to the cerebral cortex, it is going above to the cerebral cortex. All of you know what is first order, second order, third order neuron right now, right? So nerve fibers जो होते हैं, that from the spiral ganglion of the organ of Corti, and they enter the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei, ठीक है. वहाँ पे they will enter the, यहाँ से they will go and they will enter the dorsal and ventral cochlear nuclei here. These are the cochlear nuclei, ठीक है. एंड यहाँ पे क्या होगा, दे विल मेक साइनेप्स, और यहाँ पे द सेकेंड ऑर्डर न्यूरॉन विल गो, ठीक है. ऊपर सेकेंड ऑर्डर न्यूरॉन विल गो, ठीक है. और वहां से दे विल गो टू वेयर, सुपीरियर ऑलिवरी न्यूक्लियस, देन सुपीरियर ऑलिवरी न्यूक्लियस के ऊपर दिस इज सुपीरियर ऑलिवरी न्यूक्लियस एंड न्यूक्लियस ऑफ लेटरल laminiskis, then inferior colliculus, then medial geniculate body, and there is primary auditory cortex. So to remember the auditory pathway, there is a mnemonic, right? There is a mnemonic that is E. coli, MC, ठीक है. E. coli, all of you understand E. coli, then MC, ठीक है. So E is the auditory nerve, that is the, just remember E with the auditory nerve, right? Now next is C is the cochlear nuclei, O is superior olivary nucleus, L is the nucleus of lateral lemniscus, I is inferior colliculus, M is medial geniculate body, and C is the primary auditory cortex. So all of you will remember the auditory pathway. सबको याद रहेगा auditory pathway, right? And there is हर जगह there is formation of, excluding the lateral lemniscus, हर जगह there is formation of synapse, and also the fibers are crossing to both sides. Here you can see the fibers are coming here, then they are crossing to that side also. फिर यहाँ से भी they will cross to that side. यहाँ पे भी there is crossing of the fiber. So the fibers are crossing on both sides, here, right? So there is crossing of fibers also, right? समझ आया सबको ऑडिटरी पाथवे? So impulse will go from the internal ear, ठीक है, इंटरनल ईयर पे ऑर्गन ऑफ जो हेयर सेल्स है वो स्टिमुलेट होंगे, वो स्टिमुलेट होके देन व्हाट विल हैपन, दे विल कॉज स्टिमुलेशन, दे विल कॉज जनरेशन ऑफ इम्पल्स, एंड वहां से इम्पल्स विल गो टू द स्पाइरल गैंग्लियन, देन ऑडिटरी नर्व, थ्रू ऑडिटरी नर्व इट विल गो टू वेयर, cochlear nucleus, cochlear nucleus, then superior olivary nucleus, lateral lemniscus, inferior collicular, medial geniculate body, and auditory cortex, right? This is the pathway. So you can see in this diagram also it is same thing, it is written, जो भी मतलब मैंने बताया same thing, it is written that some of the fibers terminate in the nucleus of lateral lemniscus, लेकिन but many of this pass, this कुछ वहीं पे टर्मिनेट हो जाएंगे और कुछ ऊपर जाके inferior colliculi में चले जाएंगे, ठीक है, फिर वहां पे फिर से ऑडिटरी फाइबर दे विल फॉर्म साइनेप्स, और फिर वहां से द फाइबर विल गो टू मीडियल जेनिकुलेट बॉडी, एंड फ्रॉम हियर द पाथवे विल प्रोसीड टू द ऑडिटरी कॉर्टेक्स एज ऑडिटरी रेडिएशन. So they will go as radiation. You can see in this diagram. So यहाँ पे देखो these are ऐसे radiations जाते हैं ना, ऐसे इस तरह से एक fan type का बनाते हैं. So these are called as what? Auditory radiation, right? This is also the diagram that is showing the auditory pathway. So the cochlear nucleus, it maintains its cochlear spatial organization as it enters the CNS, and this is preserved within each of the cochlear relay nuclei such that they transmit different frequencies in tonopic order. मतलब क्या हुआ, जैसे कि आपको olfactory में बताया था, जैसे कि आपको taste और mainly olfactory में जैसे बताया था कि भाई जो भी organization आपका नीचे आपको सुनाई दे रहा है सेम ऊपर से जाता है. You can judge ना from where the smell is coming. You can judge ना. So you can, so ऐसे ही यहाँ पे होता है, जो साउंड वेव जो होता है उसका जो टोनोपिक ऑर्डर होता है, ठीक है, जो भी आपके ऑडिटरी कॉर्टेक्स में आ रहा है, द सेम ऑर्डर विल गो वेयर, द सेम ऑर्डर विल गो टू द मीडियल ऊपर कॉक्लियर न्यूक्लिया, then superior olivary nucleus, lateral lemniscus, and the same order will maintain further and will go to the auditory cortex. समझा सबको? The same order will go to the auditory cortex. So you can know that the जो tonopic order है, you can know that from where what is coming, right? कहाँ से कितना intensity है, कहाँ से कितना frequency है, कहाँ से कौन तेज चिल्ला रहा है, कहाँ से आवाज आ रही है, you can judge that, right? So output from the cochlear nuclei, they cross over to the contralateral side to form the olivary, that I told you that there is crossing over of the fiber, and the additional relay nuclei, they punctate the auditory pathway before projecting. So the same is written. So the left area is larger than the right and is closely associated with the Wernicke's area. So the auditory cortex में there is right side and left side दोनों तरह का, दोनों तरफ होता है ना, तो उसमें से एक साइड का is larger, that is the जो लेफ्ट कॉर्टिकल एरिया है वो लार्जर होता है एज कम्पेयर टू द राइट कॉर्टिकल एरिया ऑफ द ऑडिटरी कॉर्टेक्स एज इट इज एसोसिएटेड विद द Wernicke's area, right? Now transmission of signal. So same pathway is written. The signal will go, as I told you, from the spiral ganglion in the cochlea, then ventral and dorsal cochlear nucleus, then that is in the बातें नहीं, that is in the brain stem, then what? Cochlear nucleus के बाद क्या था? Remember the mnemonic E. coli, olivary nucleus, superior olivary nucleus, lateral lemniscus, then inferior colliculi, then medial geniculate body, and then auditory cortex, right? So remember the pathway, and all in then midbrain, then it will go to the thalamus, and then auditory cortex, right? Now next is what? Conduction of the sound wave. So role of external ear, pinna, what does the pinna do? Pinna collect the sound wave, right? Then external auditory mediators, it conduct the sound wave to the tympanic membrane and helps in amplifying of the sound wave also. It prevents injury to the tympanic membrane, maintain favorable temperature to the tympanic membrane. So that was So from here what will happen? इसमें नहीं आया क्या? बातें नहीं. So the sound wave was going from the external ear, it was vibrating the tympanic membrane, but then there is role of in middle ear. So what happens in middle ear? Sound wave reaches the tympanic membrane, then there will be a vibration of the tympanic membrane. It causes what? Vibration of ear ossicles. Okay, they will vibrate. So tympanic membrane will act as what? It will act as pressure receiver, it will act as resonator, and it critically dampens the sound wave, right? So what is the function of middle ear? Function of middle ear is just remember the function of middle ear, just impedance matching, attenuation and phase differential effect, right? So what is impedance matching? Ear-filled middle ear, it conducts sound wave mechanically to fluid-filled internal ear through ossicles. So sound wave is going from the ear to the fluid-filled middle ear. So if there is no middle ear, suppose this is okay, so if there is no middle ear, then 99% of the sound wave have reflected back to the oval window. Maximum sound wave will go to the oval window, right? And middle ear, by its impedance matching, it allows 60% of sound wave to dissipate. ठीक है, 60% को वो dissipate कर देता है, right? So that जो sound wave है वो जितना जाना चाहिए उतना ही जाती है, ठीक है? So it dissipates. This is what impedance matching. अगर suppose middle ear नहीं होगा, then there will be what? There will be impedance mismatch. Now next is what? Hydraulic action of the tympanic membrane. So what is the total area of tympanic membrane? It is around 90 millimeter square, है ना? And area of oval window जो CP's foot plate it is 3.2 millimeter square. So it is around area of tympanic membrane is काफी ज़्यादा. It is 90 and it is 3.2 and sound wave should go from 90 to 3.2, right? So effective aerial ratio is around 14:1. ठीक है? So thus by focusing the sound pressure from larger area of the tympanic membrane to the smaller area of the oval window, right? So this acts as a lever. You can see in this diagram, this acts as a lever. The sound wave is coming from here. It is coming from the tympanic membrane. This is middle ear. Middle ear is acting as what? Fulcrum. It is acting as fulcrum, right? And the sound wave is going to the oval window. The area is less here. Area is less, right? So it is acting as what? Fulcrum. So क्या कर रहा है? It is focusing sound pressure from larger area to the smaller area. ठीक है? Smaller area of the oval window. So the effectiveness of the energy transfer between two fluid air to fluid is increased. ठीक है? वहाँ से 90 से उधर डाल रहा है. So there is increase in energy transfer. So this is was lever action of. Next is what? Lever action of the ossicles. So handle of Melius is around 1.3 times longer than the long process of incus. Question comes. इसमें question आता है sometimes. ठीक है? Impedance matching पे functions और middle ear पे question आता है. So you have to write all the functions. ठीक है? Impedance matching, hydraulic action and ठीक है? So impedance. So the question comes. So you should know the जो पहले वाला hydraulic action of the tympanic membrane also you should know, and then lever action of the ossicle. ठीक है? So a handle of malleus is around 1.3 times larger than the long process of incus, right? So this provides mechanical leverage advantage. So this is, you can see, this is the malleus, this is incus, so it acts as a leverage. ठीक है? So increase in force of movement by 1.3 times. Now curved tympanic membrane. So Eustachian tube, it equilibrates the air pressure in the middle ear with that of the atmospheric pressure. ठीक है? So thus permitting the tympanic membrane to stay in its neutral position. This is normal. This is a curve क्योंकि यहाँ पे it remains tense. ठीक है? Now movement of tympanic membrane at center and then periphery where handle of malleus is attached. ठीक है? पहले center पे होता है and then periphery पे होता है. So all three mechanism, it increases the sound pressure by 18-fold, and so that's why even a whisper sound we can hear because the energy transfer is increasing from the tympanic membrane to the oval window with the help of middle ear, right? It is increasing how much? 18-fold. 14-fold is by the hydraulic action, 1.3-fold is by the lever action, right? Now there are some terms to remember: amplitude, intensity and loudness. So what is that? It is the strength of the sound. कितना strength of the sound is, that is the intensity, amplitude or loudness of the sound. So loudness, it denotes the appreciation of the sound intensity. Now next is frequency, pitch or tone. So number of cycles per second. Pitch or tone, it denotes the appreciation of frequency. Impedance is resistance offered by a medium to sound wave. Resonance is the tendency of a system to oscillate with larger amplitude at some frequency and then other. And then attenuation is, it is a general term that refers to any reduction in the strength of a signal.